is Rich Keefe. It's the Dork Podcast. Keefe Davey. It's the Dork Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag Dork Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Razzmatazz Von Dazzmatazz. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Having a fine evening. And you, sir?
I'm doing all right, although I have something. I don't know. I'm not like sick, but I have like a scratchy throat.
Yeah.
I can't shake. The first hour of the radio show today, I didn't think I was going to make it. So, as a warning to you, I have several beverages handy. If you see me clicking like the mute button or whatever, you might have to filibust. If I have like a coughing fit, it's insane.
If I filibust, I wonder. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. We'll try.
I'll just start playing fart sounders and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, if you hit like 3 fart sounders in a row, I know that like things are bad.
Oh no, he can't breathe.
He
can't breathe. I have a couple of other things before we dive head first into this episode. Don't answer this specifically as to to give away like any kind of spoiler, but Sinners remains the talk of the town. Sinners is everybody's favorite movie. Would you rather a prequel or a sequel to Sinners? Again, don't get into specifics, but just I think people who have seen it, they'll know what you're talking about. Would you rather?
Yes.
I want both of these things.
I want both of these things. No, I think
one. Like, what if you could pick one to make first? What would it be?
Prequel.
Yeah, prequel would be pretty badass.
And again, this isn't a spoiler.
Okay.
But we talked about this off the air. Once we got done with Sinners, and I was like, or maybe we talked about it a little bit before, but the indigenous people's handling of the main vampire.
Well, yes.
I need to know more about them.
It was
and
funny.
We talked about it off the air for a people who are handy with bows and arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just launchable wooden stakes.
Yeah.
So would not a native be the best vampire hunter there is?
It's a great call. I feel like I've seen not all vampire movies, but most. Isn't that's sort of like an untapped?
It absolutely is an untapped.
Like a fucking Legolas out there just sniping vamps
with wooden shafted arrows.
Oh yeah, you keep your distance. You don't invite him inside.
Yeah. And again, this isn't a spoiler because it happens in like the first 10 minutes, but he's actually running from them.
Yes. Well, I'm telling you, there is not only a prequel and a sequel out there, there's like a bunch of spin-offs. You saw that fake that fake meme of like it was either Michael B. Jordan or Ryan Coogler in front of like basically like an MCU thing, being like, here are all the potential fucking spin-offs.
Everything we could do.
And I'm like, oh, I do want that movie. It was funny. Wiggy finally saw it, and he was like, what'd you think? I'm like, Wiggy, I've been talking about it nonstop. What do you mean, what do I think? Like, I think it's the greatest movie ever. And he's like, well, I liked it too. He's like, I had one question about your boy. And I'm like, Michael B. Jordan? He's like, no, the vampire. I'm like, why is Remick my boy? Just
why is he my boy?
The white Irish kid? I guess that's what he's thinking. But he was like, he wanted more of him. I'm like, you could make another movie with him for all.
The prequel would just be how he got here.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. No easy transition to this. Another big topic on the radio program today. Did you catch any of Bill Belichick's interview on CBS this morning?
I caught it, and I wanted to kind of stay away from it because I feel like there is like a senior abuse, like welfare check coming soon.
I did bring up elder abuse today as if that could possibly be a thing, and I think he is in danger.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I think this young lady has cast some sort of spell on our guy here.
Not to pat myself on the back, although I'm no stranger to doing it. About 6 months ago, she was in some like photo with him, and I was like, she's a succubus. She is a succubus.
She is, yeah.
And it's coming true. And you know how we get rid of her? About
How's
350. About 350.
About 350. I need about 350.
I think that's what the succubus is gonna want. About 350. Yeah, it's bananas. Like watching the whole thing play out. And the way that these guys, so they interviewed Bill Belichick on CBS this morning. You've probably seen it by now if you guys haven't, but it's, under the guise of he has a book coming out. But then they even make a reference. They're like his girlfriend Jordan, who was like had quite a bit of input during this interview. And like they said it like a matter of fact, like she was fucking butting her head in quite a bit. We had to include some of it, and it was just so awkward. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. But
at one point where she like stepped in and like told her not to answer a question, is like,
you know how difficult the question, you know what the question was?
How'd you meet?
How did you meet?
It's not a hard question.
Nope.
And why does she not want that answered? Like, I
don't know.
It's not like he's on Howard Stern and he's gonna like pry something out of him, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty like straightforward. It was like one of those like pretty like
softballs.
Not exactly gotcha media. And then the guy had a good thing about like, he's like, you don't mention Robert Kraft in your book. And he's like, well, it's about like what I learned about like football. And he's like, he's not in the acknowledgments. And he's like, correct. But his new girlfriend's in the acknowledgments.
Oh yeah, but not Robert Kraft. Yeah. Who?
Kraft and Belichick have known each other longer than she's been alive by like long haul.
By a lot. Because what, she's 25?
She's just turned 24.
But yeah, so they've known each other since before you were even a twinkle, as my dad would say.
He's 73.
Yeah.
So he's the same age as my dad. So if my dad was walking around with a 24-year-old answering questions for him, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
I'd be like, what? We need to step in. We have to have like an intervention at that point.
I don't like this. I want this to stop. Anyway, that's not a part of the news.
This week in Dork. Yeah.
We have a couple of good topic du jours today. So we don't have a ton of This Week in Dork stuff, but later this week, Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Actress is going to be in theaters. I've tried to avoid a lot of the early reviews and things like that. However, it was hard to ignore some of the headlines and stuff. People seem to like this one. People seem to think this is good.
And we discussed, this is important. Like this needs to be good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there was fatigue, and there were some bright spots along the way. Like anything James Gunn did, I think we laud. We have hold in high esteem.
Yep.
But some major Marvel stinkers have come out.
Yeah. I've tried to defend it a bit because everybody's kind of broad brushed it, and everyone's knee-jerk reaction is like everything sucked since Endgame. And I'm like,
that's not true.
It's a little strong. I don't agree with that, but there has been a lot. And they also had such a long hit rate where everything was probably 4.5 to 5 stones or better for like the longest haul.
Yeah.
And then we've run into a time now where we've gotten like, the Immortals and even Captain America Brave New World was not good.
Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange. Like that stunk.
Yeah.
In retrospect. Thor Love and Thunder wasn't great.
It was okay. I was okay. I would say like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was very good to your James Gunn point, and Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3 was pretty good.
It was pretty good. Oh no, you mean No Way Home?
Yeah, No Way Home was
was good. I thought you were like Far From Home wasn't that great.
Oh yeah,
No Way Home.
I think that was like in between, but like No Way Home I thought was pretty good. So
yeah, it was good.
And like the TV shows have been kind of hit or miss. We just did a Daredevil episode last week, so that's just been hit or miss. I'm excited for Thunderbolts. What do you think it's going to get on Roddy T's after the first weekend?
It's going to be in the low 80s.
Okay.
I'm going to guess.
That's good enough.
But that's going to be a lot of people being like, well, it's going to be like the people who don't necessarily like these movies anyway. Yeah, so good point.
I agree with Ryan in the chat. Deadpool and Wolverine was fantastic. I did love Daredevil and Wolverine. I thought that was awesome. And so where do we go from here? The problem is that they followed that up with Captain America Brave New World, which was not very good. Yeah, I'm hoping that this is like a minimum 5 stoner, because this is important, but it's not as important to the overall future as Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four needs to be great.
That needs to be top shelf. Like that needs to be, and again, I think we get the interest back. This is the appetizer to that. Because they've already announced with the chair thing that all of these characters, or most of them, are going to be in
they're all coming
Doomsday,
back.
Right?
Everybody's in Doomsday.
Yeah,
actually, not all the Thunderbolts are in there, but they're probably telling you which ones make it and which ones don't.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we're going to lose one early, and I got money on who it is.
No bet. I'm sure. I'm sure it's off the board in Vegas, as it were.
Yep.
Right, we got a trailer for Predator Badlands. This movie comes out November 7th, and I think the game has changed a little bit. I think this is going to
Game
be
has changed a little
yeah.
bit. I'm very excited for this movie because it's the same director as Prey, right?
Yes.
And what's interesting is there's a human character in this trailer who you see someone has done some sleuthing, some internet sleuthing.
Yeah, Elle Fanning, the actress Elle Fanning.
Yeah.
Great
And
actress.
at one point, her eyes go white, and there's a logo
Yeah.
on her eyes, which
Correct.
is like, I forget it's the
Begins with a W, right? But
it's
what universe is that in?
exactly, that's in the Alien universe.
Yes.
So and it's something Maru. I forget the.
So basically, we are getting Alien and Predator.
Wayland Yutani, not
Okay.
Kobayashi Maru. Wayland Yutani.
Yeah. So we're getting, so she's like a cyborg or whatever the fuck she is, and so we're getting Alien and Predator together,
but like a better one.
Yeah, because what's the guy's name? Is it Dan Trachtenberg? Am I making that up? That did Prey, because he also, I guess, is friends with Fede Alvarez, who did Don't Breathe and did Alien Romulus. And he's like, we need to do like either a movie together or we need to like create this thing. And like the fact that Predator Badlands is going to tie that in, I could see these two guys working together. And I liked Romulus. Romulus was a good time.
Romulus is good, and Prey was good. So these two guys kind of like are taking care. And I think, I thought Romulus was as good as, it held. I wouldn't say as good as any Alien movie, but it definitely held its own.
There. It might have been my third. It's probably the third best. I mean, if you think the first two as like all-time classics, I bet it was. And I'm not down on the other ones, to be honest. I think this was better than those ones. So.
And I liked Prometheus more than a lot of people did, but I think this is just as good as Alien 3 or Covenant or whatever.
You watched any of The Pit on HBO Max?
No, but I there are people who were like, we're almost at like Yellowstone bad, where people telling me that I have to watch this, but I did see that there was a lawsuit. So the creators of like ER, like Michael Crichton's estate, are like trying to, because it's basically just like a continuation of ER.
I mean, I didn't really watch a lot of ER. I'll be honest, the medical drama, even the medical comedy, is not my thing. Like, I didn't watch ER. I mean, I know enough about it because it's in the zeitgeist, Ryan. I could answer trivia questions about it, but like I didn't watch Grey's Anatomy. I didn't even watch Scrubs. Like just that Chicago Hospital, like all those movies, all those
Chicago
shows.
Hope.
Chicago, that didn't interest me. Yeah, was it St. Elmo's? No, St. Elsewhere, right? Or
St. Elsewhere, St. Elmo's Fire was completely different.
St. Elmo's Fire, I did watch. That took place in Georgetown. That was coming of age. But no, it's not really an interest to me. However, it's on a lot of early year lists for best TV show.
Right.
And so me and my wife, we don't have a lot of overlap shows. And so she was like, I might watch The Pit. And I'm like, I'll watch that with you. So we started episode 1, and it basically is like, I think each episode, people probably know exactly what this is, but I believe it's like one episode is like 1 hour. So it's sort of like 24 meets ER, I guess. So like the first episode is 7 to 8 a.m. in like an emergency room in Pittsburgh, and it's just a lot of people in and out running around, fucking like chaos, right?
Yeah.
So we started watching it. We didn't finish the first episode, not because it wasn't good, but because we were eating dinner during it. And at first there was like, this is like a minor spoiler, I guess. So at first there's like a gnarly scene where like a guy's like leg or foot got like ripped off, and it's like super bloody. And I'm like, well, whatever, that's fine. And Katie's like, I don't know, maybe not the best show to watch while we're eating. And I'm like, whatever, like let's just keep watching it.
Don't be a coward.
Fast forward, couple like 20 minutes later, there's a guy whose character at the beginning of the episode, and maybe we should have guessed this, but everything happens so fast. There's a guy at the beginning of the episode who's very constipated.
Oh boy.
And he ends up just like shitting his bed. And I'm just like, and we're shutting this off. I'm like, can't eat a burrito. This guy got just shit everywhere. It's, I think, pretty good. I kind of want to watch all of it just so I can have it and like, included for my like shows of the year, but it's 15 episodes. Seems a lot of TV. And I'll tell you, this day and age.
If you want to get just a nice palate cleanser from that,
Yeah.
I was watching a film on Netflix called Havoc, which just came out this week.
Oh, wait, Havoc's a movie, right?
It's a movie.
Tom Hardy?
Starring Tom Hardy,
Yeah.
Timothy Oliphant, Forrest Whitaker, Luis Guzman is in it.
What a cast.
And it's directed by the guy who did The Raid Redemption. I don't know if you've seen those movies or those movies are absolutely crazy.
Okay.
It was directed by Gareth Evans, who directed.
Oh, I know Gareth Evans. Did he do one of the Godzillas?
Let me see. He did VHS 2, Killers, Footsteps.
No.
I know he did the Raid movies.
Okay.
He did VHS 2, which is probably like my favorite of the VHS.
Oh, okay.
Movies.
All right.
But this movie is just
Crackers.
It's not like the plot doesn't really. There's like 3-4 plots going on that don't really jive together. But I tell you, the action, boy.
Yeah. Woo. So all right,
like the Raid movies, check it out.
I'll add that to the queue. I started. What's the Kevin Bacon show?
Oh yeah, I started that too.
I'm pretty good. I'm 2 episodes in. I'll finish it.
The Bondsman.
Yeah, Bondsman, right? Where he's like brought back to like hunt people down for the devil.
First episode was good, and then it kind of cooled off a little bit. But
all right, I'll go back to that. And then speaking of Tom Hardy, I gotta watch Mobland. I've heard good things about Mobland.
Yeah, well, I fucking mentioned that 2 weeks ago.
Well, I haven't. God. Right, I'm up to my hog and shows. And
I'm
movies.
usually the ones who forgets that I've said things on this podcast.
Listen, I mean, not to tell tales out of school. I talk to a lot of people about a lot of stuff.
I say a lot of things throughout the day. I don't know who I said what I said to whom.
You know, I just hope I'm not a liar. I don't ever want to be a liar. But that's that. And oh yeah, speaking of talking like that, the movie Friendship comes out in 2 weeks, and we got ourselves a plan. We got to make sure that this happens. I normally see movies by myself, just based on the schedule and the interest that my wife has versus do we actually want to get somebody to watch the kids and blah, 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 blah. So not to bore you guys with the details, but I normally watch movies by myself. This has been in the works for a little while. Our little group of friends here, the 5 of us, might go do dinner and a show for Friendship and do poppy steaks and then go see the film.
See, the issue is it's the day before Mother's Day.
Yeah, and
I'm just saying
it's not on Mother's Day. We're not taking up Mother's Day. This can be dude night, and then Mother's Day we show up. We're smelling like roses. Think about it.
I'm thinking about it.
Unless you're doing like a long weekend or something.
We got one guy coming in from far, so we got to figure out the location of this place or how this is going to go down.
I don't know what the center. Everybody's in Massachusetts, but we're spread out, so we got to find a point on the map that is.
I mean, I'm not just saying it's kind of me.
Are you the one in the middle? You might be.
I'm in the middle. Yeah.
Do you have a good theater and a good place for slot? Do you have like a Trifoli's?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm Route 9 Natick. Like I'm right there.
Steaks in Natick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like I'm kind of in the middle. Like I don't live in Natick, but it's like the
if you see a bunch of guys slopping them up before Friendship, it's us walking.
Don't come looking. Don't come over to the table. They can't stop us from ordering steaks and water.
That's true. That's definitely true. So that's 2 weeks from now. So next week.
Yeah. So it's the 10th, right?
Yes, not this weekend. So this weekend, I mean, I guess we could do Friday night if you're too worried that it's close to Mother's Day. But I'm
just throwing out.
Got it. Hey, don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
So next week we'll continue our Andor series and we'll do Thunderbolts. And then the week after that, we'll do 3 more episodes of Andor and we'll do Friendship. Things are really coming together. Things are coming together. All right, let's get to this.
Y'all ready for bisque?
Topic du jour time. First topic du jour of the du jour. Are you ready for that, Ryan?
What?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today it is Andor season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I'll tell you, they did something that's kind of sweet for podcasting, where it's a 12-episode season. Each week they release 3 episodes at a time. Then they're going to do like a time jump. So it's basically like they're releasing 4 movies.
Like short films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you add it all together,
no, they're actually really long.
Yeah, like a long film, like a 2.5 hour, because these were all under an hour, but it's still a good amount to digest. And then they're going to do a year, and then they're going to do another episode, and then all the way up to Rogue One. So we'll briefly start spoiler free here. Andor season 2, first 3 episodes, dipping our toes back into the world of Andor. Ryan, did you like it?
I did.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is the first thing they never do this in Star Wars, where like the opening scene, it has like 3 BBY,
4 BBY.
4 BBY.
That'd be a
So like,
sticker. Yeah, 4 BBY right off the
so
rip.
you get a date, which
Yeah.
is before the Battle of Yavin.
Right. We've never seen that.
We've never seen that before.
Yeah, so that was definitely interesting. That you see that sort of font jump out, because I also kind of porked myself. I didn't watch. I think there is available on Disney Plus. There's a season 1 recap, but I didn't watch it. I assumed it was going to start the episode, and it didn't. So I just got like thrown into it, and I'm like, shit, what happened? Like, where did we leave off?
There was a lot of stuff that like I forgot about, but then
Yeah.
it's funny, like they wound up recapping it at the beginning of episode 2, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I remember now.
Yeah, like the previously on was like last episode and stuff that you're gonna need for that. So that is true. We also did an Andor season 1 episode. You can check that out in the archives. Just kind of search for Dork Podcast Andor. We both, I believe, gave that season a 5.5 out of 6. So we're pretty high on that series. But yeah, I love this format. I've said this before, but I'm shocked that they're able to get 24 episodes out of a character that we know is going to die, and the character that wasn't the star of Rogue One, and I wouldn't even say the co-star of Rogue One. And
no, he was kind of like the Han Solo of Rogue One.
Yeah, like he was cool, but I never at that time would think like, oh, you know what I need to know is his whole entire backstory, and it's incredible. And I saw the showrunner and like the creator Tony Gilroy talking about how he doesn't think there's ever going to be a show like this again. He's like, it was kind of the perfect storm. Like he's like, the Mandalorian did so well, so there was like a call for like more Star Wars stories. And he's like, so we have like a big, like they have like a big budget. The stuff looks amazing,
incredible.
It looks so good. But they were also able to do a Star Wars story without Jedi. They were able to do it without Sith. They were able to do it without a Skywalker. Like it's pretty amazing that they're able to do this.
Well, I think it's also in that period of time. Like we're going to talk about this more probably next episode, but in a time where there really are no Jedi, and if there are, they're hiding.
True. Yeah, we certainly know of a few, but they are in hiding. Yeah, they are. They're in hiding. Now, it takes place around the same time as the TV show Rebels, and we can sort of talk about that and like how they kind of cross over a little bit. But like you said, there aren't too many. They're certainly not out in the open. There's no, certainly no Jedi Council or anything like that. But for one of the things that's like a real draw to all Star Wars stories isn't there, and yet it's still so good. Which like this is also like a lesson for like Marvel in my mind, where like you don't have to have the top end characters, and you don't have to have everything important that like the stake, like the whole universe is on the line. You can still tell really cool stories.
Yeah. And I think one of another point of that too is you look at The Boys, like the main character, like is not a superhero. Like he's not, but they're around.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
Yeah, no, that's true. So no, I mean, I've enjoyed this. I don't know what more spoiler free, because I think if you like the first season, you're in on this. If for some reason you didn't watch the first season just because of the stuff we were saying, like we couldn't recommend it anymore. I think personal preference, I like Ahsoka a little bit more, but if you meet 10 Star Wars fans, 5 might say Andor's better, 5 might say Ahsoka's better.
Well, I think it's too, it's like who you're dealing with too. I think this skews older. Like this, Skeleton Crew was such a good like Goonies-esque show that skewed a little younger. Like this, I think there's like real drama and like real shit going on here.
Oh yeah, like it got picked up. It's probably all over Twitter for people that didn't even see it. There's a scene in episode 3 that is
heavy,
the most adult thing maybe in Star Wars, or like right up there at the top. So yeah, it is an adult Star Wars show. For as much as it's all canon and like Jar Jar Binks exists in this universe, and like the Ewoks exist in this universe, but like so does this.
But the lesson here too is like, the people who grew up with Star Wars are now our age, older, right? So because the first movie I saw in the theater, I was 2. I saw Return of the Jedi. Like it was the
Yeah.
first movie I saw in the theater. So like
Were you like, what
This
the
is-
fuck is going on? I didn't see the first two.
allegedly I fell asleep.
Wow.
You know, but so
It's the worst.
but my
one,
point
but-
is like I've grown up with this stuff. So now I'm in middle age. So
Yeah.
it needs to this is for us.
Yeah.
You know, this adult version of the show is for us. And how grateful I am for that.
Yeah, no, I love it. Now, do your girls watch any Star Wars stuff?
Oh, we watched Skeleton Crew. They watched they like The Mandalorian. They like I showed them Babu Frick. And so when we went to Galaxy's Edge, they were looking for Babu Frick the whole time.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't show them this.
No.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to know too that like when something of theirs is no longer working, they will say it's Daboken.
Well, you know what's it's funny because we talked about how they made Rogue One basically as like the greatest cover up of a loophole of all time.
Right.
You know, like how the Death Star can go down so easy, and it's like, well,
and how you knew that.
There's a reason for it, and they explain this whole thing. So like you can watch the whole Star Wars like main movies that are pretty kid friendly and you could skip Rogue One. Like for little kids, you could like skip Rogue One, and then therefore they would never even know who Andor is. So it's like once you get like a little bit older, you fucking hit him with Rogue One, then you hit him with this Andor series. And
it's like, oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah, there's all
Let's
this
talk
stuff.
about yeah. There's all this stuff.
There's all this. Yeah, but I really enjoyed these characters, and then I'm always thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, what's going on at this time in the universe, and what characters do we know the fate of versus like what characters do we not know the fate of? Because they're telling all these stories all the time. So you're like, could any of these characters pop up in like Mandalorian, or like you're trying to figure like all these new movies that are coming out down the road? That's how I fucking watch these shows.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else non-spoiler before we rip?
No, let's talk spoilers here.
Let's get some spoiler thoughts because
Spoilers! Here come the spoilers!
Yes, we're not giving a score for it because it's only 3 episodes. It is funny. I believe Andor season 1 started pretty slow and then really picked up because I do think this started a bit slow. I think there's a lot of cool setup and there's some Star Wars lore that is like presented in this, but I don't think it was like amazing. Like I wasn't like, holy fuck, like did you see those first 3 episodes? I'm like, all right, where are we going from here?
Yeah, I think and again, I think this is, I talk about WandaVision last time, like this is a good idea, especially if you're going to start slow.
Yeah.
Like build it immediately. Like instead of doing like 145 minutes, if it was just episode 1 last week, we'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that TIE interceptor, that like prototype TIE fighter is cool, but okay.
Yeah.
Like who are these scrubs that he meets on this planet, and then all of a sudden the episode ends?
All right. So I'm with you on that. So Cassian Andor is trying to meet somebody. He kind of crash lands after he can't fly that thing, which is like a cool scene early on. It's very Star Warsy scene.
Well, it's also like it grounds you in the fact that like you believe that all of them know every language and can fly anything, and they can't.
Yeah. So I like that. That was a good scene. I do think when he goes and crash lands down there and he can't find his guy, and then he's just like surrounded by morons, like that did last too long. They needed to split that up. Now, the big reveal is that planet that they're on is Yavin 4, which is like becomes fucking pretty significant in Star Wars and like just a few years later. But it was too much for those guys, and I was like, all right, now I'm like, I don't really care. Like I need Cassian to get out of there, which he eventually does. There's a lot of Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is one of the most important characters in Star Wars, and it's staggering that she is. She appeared in the original trilogy for less than a minute, maybe less than 30 seconds in Return of the Jedi.
And you see like a hologram of her. Like is she at the table?
I think she's at the table and she's talking to everybody like what they need to do because she's the head of the Rebel Alliance, right? Like she's in charge of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this on the Andor season 1 because I remember being like blown away by this. So that's a different actress right from the 80s. Right. So she's in it. Mon Mothma, we know who she is from Return of the Jedi. Fast forward to 2005, Revenge of the Sith. And we'll talk about that in our next episode, the 20-year anniversary of it. They cast Genevieve O'Reilly, who is the current
Mhm.
Mon Mothma, they cast her in Revenge of the Sith, and her scenes get cut out. Obviously, they've been doing a lot of political stuff. She's a senator. She knows
Yeah.
Padme. She's like a scene with Padme and like Bail Organa, and like she has a scene. They cut it out, but they cast her in 2005, and she's in the movie. Then, like a few years later, she voices Mon Mothma in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
And then they bring her back for Rogue One. They bring her back for Ahsoka, and they bring her back for Andor. She's now like a major character, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, and I think isn't she in? She's in like the other trilogy, the new trilogy too.
I don't know about that.
I think she is.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah, I think she's in. Let me see.
I don't remember if she is, but I wouldn't be shocked. They've used her quite a bit, and it's like her political stuff, and then just somebody needs to be the head of the rebels, and it's her.
Never mind, she's not. But she's
not.
in
Okay, I didn't think
Ahsoka,
so.
Rebels, Andor, Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith.
Crazy. Like she's super important. Obviously, you spent a lot of time with her arranged marriage, her daughter, who she is going to be marrying off. Then she kind of was like, "Hey, you don't have to do this," and like that whole thing. And then the whole thing with her and Luthen and whatever. Also,
Dude, Luthen, like that guy. That's I love that guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of dialogue happening. Everything's kind of flying around. But I'm looking forward to where this Mon Mothma thing continues. She's sort of like the co-star, I would say, of this show. Real quick question. Do you think Andor is the best name of this show?
Do I think it should be called something
Like,
else, or do I think it's the best name for the show?
Would you call the show Mon Mothma? Or no, would you call the show like Rebel? Like you can't call it Rebels because you already made an animated show, but it's more like that than it is like a full-on casting Andor show.
Well, it's I like how I think he's kind of the linchpin and like the whole rebellion, because a lot of it is like, because you don't want to call it like how the rebellion was funded, because they do need money and they need like these big time power players to kind of like Mon Mothma to do this. But you know how he's being used to carry out basically like their dirty work. Which I think is, because when we meet him in Rogue One, he's got a little bit of a crew.
Yeah. Well,
right. So like he's gonna. Andor? How do we get them? Yeah.
Well, we got to get K2SO. That's coming.
Right.
That's coming at some point.
And a sweet ship.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Going back to those shitheads that Cassian was with, I think the point, and you could have obviously whittled this down to save time. I think the point is just to basically show how unorganized the rebels are. Right. So like there's a lot of different people that think, wait a minute, like we don't really like what's happening right now. We don't like the Galactic Empire, but they're so shitty. Like they're not, like they need a Mon Mothma to sort of like get them all together. So you have all these groups that like kind of want to overthrow Palpatine, I guess, but they don't know how to do it, and they're all just kind of a mess.
Yeah, they're all dum-dums.
They also talk about Gorman, the planet of Gorman, which is going to lead to the Gorman massacre, which I believe will be in episodes 7, 8, and 9. This is something that was mentioned in Rebels before, where they go, stormtroopers wipe out like 1,000 peaceful protesters in Gorman. And this is what triggers Mon Mothma to publicly call out Palpatine and be like, this motherfucker ain't right. And like, then she's got to get out of there because like then they're after her. And then that sort of like is sort of the tipping point for the rebels, I think, to come together. So that'll probably be a wild scene. But it is funny because you get that round table. Oh, we also get Krennic. Krennic's back from Rogue One, who's the man, Ben Mendelsohn. And he's sitting there at the round table and they're talking about Gorman. They're pitching all these different ideas. And if we didn't already know what the Gorman massacre kind of was, I was waiting for one idea could be just have Darth Vader show up and just wipe everybody out because
if this is the last season of Andor, do you play that card? I think you should.
I hope so. And I know it's a bit of a cheat code. Like you could take a good show and make it insane if Darth Vader shows up, but I kind of think you kind of should.
But we talked about this before, and I was thinking about this too, because this is like prime time Vader. Like he's not, his kids aren't old yet. Like this is like he's at the height of who he is. And you've seen it in flashes. You've seen it in some video games. You saw it in Rogue One, where he's like, you don't fight him, you run.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And like there's one scene in the comic books, I think there's two. There was like, basically he does like the Rorschach thing where they're like, we got you surrounded. He's like, no, like, you're here with me. Like I'm so like, you're all dead.
So like they could, that's not how it happens. So I don't think
I just want him there. I don't want him like taking part of the whole thing, but I want him there.
I do too. It's funny because Krennic mentions the Emperor and like how he talks to him a lot, which is a fun kind of side story to watch. Is it seems like in the first season and these a couple episodes, Krennic's relationship with the Emperor is like decent. Like he must talk to him. Mm-hmm. But then in Rogue One, he kind of is like around Vader. He's like, you'll tell him like I did good, right? Or like remember he has some like weird line with Vader, and it's almost like I wonder if he's not talking to him anymore. Because he's just
you're gonna deal with Vader, not me. Like I'm not
gonna maybe he's on his shit list after what happens with Gorman, actually.
Maybe.
Possible.
I think that makes you didn't want like that outward.
It's just like
we're trying to play like a shadow game here. We're not trying to like murder,
just wipe down 1,000 people and then like motivate everybody to like join up against us.
Right.
So there is that. Also, this is something I saw on the internet, so I didn't pick this up.
So it's true.
It's got to be true. First of all,
yeah.
Second of all, I can't take credit for having known this, but I think that shitty group and the leader that they had that Andor's with, I think Saw Gerrera mentions them, or either mentions that group or mentions that person like in Rogue One. Yeah,
he's supposed to meet Porco.
No. So remember, but then he was supposed to be Porco,
but their leader who like
I forget what her name was, but I think Saw Gerrera is like, these guys are idiots. It like basically like mentions them in Rogue One. So like, that's a cool little callback.
Yeah.
Oh, so then like the shit is basically Andor's crew is kind of hiding out right now, and they're on that like planet where it looks like it's covered in like wheat, whatever that is, and they're like working as like mechanics. I feel like they did a really, really bad job at hiding. I feel like it would have been a lot easier to hide,
or like come up with a better story.
The story was shit, but there's so much land. I don't think those Imperial guards were like looking very closely. They were just basically driving their little speeders down, and then they'd go to like the little diner, and then they would drive to like a little hut, and they'd be like, who works here? And then they were like checking papers. Go like 20 yards into the field and like lay down. Wait for them to leave. I don't think they were really scanning it that closely.
The other thing too, I mean, I know it feels very small at times, but like it's a galaxy. So like not everybody knows everybody, and then not everybody knows like who you're supposed to be looking for, where, you know what I mean? So they don't know, if you're just like,
I thought they were going to hide better or something.
I thought they were going to do like the whole Shaggy. No, that's not me. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's all you had to do.
I'm smart, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't do any of that. Brasso gets killed. My question with that one is, did that guy turn him in or did he not turn him in? You know what I'm talking about? In the episode,
he did.
You think he did turn him in?
He did, yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Because he says something to him.
You fucker, you did. And he's just like looking at him. And like, I don't know what that was. Was he trying to like protect him, or was he? That was a weird scene. I honestly don't really get what happened there.
I'm not sure what happened here.
I don't know. I'm like, I probably should watch this again. I don't really know. So then you get obviously like the sexual assault, which got a lot of attention.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I love the people too. Like, and again, if you're one of these people who's like, well, Star Wars is getting, political. I'm like, my brother in Christ, this has been political since day one.
And to watch one Star Wars.
Watch a Star Wars.
A Star Wars. Do it one time. Yeah, do it one time.
Well, they're gonna get all like woke. Like, no.
The people that complain the most about it on Twitter didn't even watch it and have never watched it. They're just gonna like, go crazy about it. They referenced Naboo at one point, and the other thing I wrote down was, B2 Emo, one of the great droids that has been introduced to us. This poor fucker, he's just left there on that planet. Are we ever gonna see him again?
I hope so. You're just kicking him around.
He's a delight, but
and he gets sad. I don't like that he gets sad. That makes me sad.
He gets real sad. Speaking of sad, two other characters we didn't mention, Cyril and Deidre, and they meet with Cyril's mom. They have a nice little awkward dinner.
What a terrible and I love Deidre's like response to that.
Yeah.
Like this will be inversely proportionate to the amount like you come here and we invite you here. So like stop like fucking with him. Because as soon as he opened the door, she was just like messing with him.
And she's got that crazy voice.
It talks like this.
Yeah.
I would try to do it, but I think it would cost me the rest of the
that would cost me. Yeah.
I like how he was like having an argument with his mother, and then he just like gets up and goes into his room and like lays down for a minute.
He's like, I'll be right back, and he's just like
fucking
But this is a guy like who was pumped up. You thought like he would have gotten toughened up, like what happened to him last season.
Yeah, no,
because he was nope,
he didn't.
Still the same.
So good setup. My guess is we start episode 4. It's gonna flash on the screen 3 BBY.
Yeah,
and then we'll rip through that. Hopefully, I'm assuming some more Mon Mothma, and then my guess is the Gorman Massacre will be episode 7 through 9.
So, I don't know. I think it'll be 6.
At the end,
they're already at the end of this run because then they gotta. Okay, now what do we do now?
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be 7, 8, 9.
To go with that. Yeah, it's either going to start it or maybe it'll lead into it or whatever.
Right,
yeah, that's true.
Like they'll end this week's with the Gorman Massacre.
All right, dudes, and dudettes, let us know what you guys thought of Andor. I can't fucking say Andor.
I don't know why you keep saying
say Andover like every time. Andor season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Episode 1 was 1 year later. Episode 2, Sagrona Tima, and episode 3, Harvest. So the next 3 episodes will be out Tuesday night, I believe, 9 p.m. Here Eastern time, and we look forward to that very much. If you are watching on the YouTube right now, first of all, thank you. Second of all, jump over to our other link that we have posted there, and we are going to do more Star Wars. There's more Star Wars to be had as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Gave it a rewatch this week. Very excited to talk about that. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. All of it at Dork Podcast. You can also email us, dorkpodcast@gmail.com, about anything that you may be thinking, Star Wars or otherwise. And maybe we will, or hopefully we will get to it soon. Ryan, in the meantime, promise me a million times over, you'll never do another rule.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, we're not doing that.
The #Dork Podcast.